As a doctor, it feels like you spend a third of your life on call, a third of your life recovering from your call, and a third of your life attempting to feel like a human being. And the uncomfortable truth is this: your lack of sleep that you keep experiencing is probably affecting more than just your energy. It's affecting your growth, your productivity, and probably even your success. Hi, I'm Zahra. I'm a medical doctor and entrepreneur, and I've been working in the public healthcare system for the last 7 years, which means I've been doing calls every 4 to 5 days for the last 7 years. I've been working in obstetrics and gynecology for the last 4 years, a discipline and field that I absolutely loved, but honestly, the 26 calls I could really have done without. They absolutely destroyed me. And for the longest time, I kept thinking that I was weak or lazy, or that I just needed to toughen up and get stronger. But I didn't actually understand the research, the psychology, and what effect it was actually having on my health. And I'll be happy to tell you that the research backs us up, and we are not going crazy, and it is not all imagined. It actually shows that chronic sleep deprivation really does change how our mind and body functions. And honestly, once I actually understood this, everything else started to make more sense. So firstly, what actually happens to your body when you're on call? You're on a 24, 26-hour shift, you're on constant high alert, you're waiting for your phone to ring to wait for an emergency that you're probably going to be called for. Whether this is a patient that's having a myocardial infarction or a stroke or overt pulmonary edema, you know that you're always on a high stress, high alert mode. Studies consistently show that sleep deprivation actually increases your cortisol levels, reduces your emotional regulation, and creates cognitive inflexibility. You're on call, you're not sleeping, but not only are you not sleeping, your body also feels like it's constantly under threat, so you're constantly burning through more energy. And you might argue and say, okay, but every now and then I have a quiet call, but I really still never feel rested. And you're spot on. Even if you have a quiet call, your body never fully rests. You never actually come off being on high alert. You're probably wondering and asking yourself, well, then why are we even doing calls? Why does it even matter? So the reality is that if you're a doctor working in a public or private healthcare system, emergencies happen all the time, whether it's day or night. And we know if we have a loved one, a friend, a family, or even ourselves, and we have an emergency, we'd like to know that there is somewhere we can go to be helped. But in order to be helped, we know that there needs to be teams available to do that. This can be from junior and senior medical doctors to nursing staff. We need a team together to make sure emergencies are taken care of after hours. It ultimately keeps our patients safe. So yes, calls are absolutely exhausting, but they also serve a very critical purpose. What actually happens post-call? I don't know about you, but post-call, I'm an absolute wreck, and it takes me forever to recover. Honestly, at this stage, I'm just in survival mode. All I want to do after a post-call shift is hand over, come home, shower, eat, and sleep. I don't have capacity for anything else. Research shows that after extended wakefulness, so essentially a 24-hour call, it actually mimics the same sort of deterioration and dysfunction that you see with someone who is intoxicated. There are probably points where you feel like you have no capacity for your relationships, for creativity, health, and exercise, and it's not you being lazy, it's literally neurobiology. And when your calls happen every 4 to 5 days, your recovery never actually fully happens. Why does recovery get harder over time? The reality is that when you're younger, when you started off working as a doctor, you had more energy, you hadn't done this before, it was new, it's a novelty, and it's exciting. But as the years keep passing, your body's ability to recover actually just reduces. Because every time you're disrupting your circadian rhythm, you are getting reduced sunlight exposure, you're probably not eating well or healthily, and you're definitely not hydrating as often as you should. And so really what this means is that it's a compounding cycle. Every time you're sleep deprived, it takes longer for you to recover, or maybe you never fully do, but before you know it, you're having to jump to the next call. Lack of sleep is ultimately limiting your success. When you're constantly functioning in survival mode, you tend to push aside everything else. This could be relationships, your health, any personal goals you want to achieve, your creativity, reading, any hobbies that you enjoy. There's actually research that shows that sleep deprivation reduces your decision-making capability, your goal setting, and your motivation. So it's not that you don't have ambition. It's ultimately that your body and your brain ultimately just doesn't have capacity to do more. The way that I like to think about this is, imagine you're in the ocean, you are constantly treading, constantly exerting energy, but all you're doing is keeping your head above water in order to survive. You're never really moving forward. So you're alive, but not really progressing. What can you do about it? You can ultimately reduce your calls. That's the number one winning way to do it. And there are a number of ways you can do this. You can ask your department to reduce the number of calls that you do. You can negotiate dropping calls from your role. You could find a new role that doesn't require you to do overtime. I've honestly tried many times to negotiate dropping my overtime and my calls from my department. I tried and failed multiple times. So if you're like me and you're not able to do that, then I've built a system instead. I map my week from Monday to Sunday, making sure that I put in all my non-negotiables that I had to pay attention and nurture. This was family and friends, my health and fitness, my learning, my growth, my development, my creativity, and building something that was beyond medicine. I built a system and a structure around my current life, not necessarily my ideal life. And this is what it looked like. On my on-call days, I focused on my job and nothing else. On my post-call days, I made time to rest, eat, and sleep. And I would find time to move in between, whether that meant taking my dog for a walk, doing a short run, whatever it meant to actually get my body moving. And on normal days, I would do a 6 a.m. wake up, meditate, journal, have my coffee, be focused at work, and make sure I use my time outside of work to do the things that I actually wanted and I enjoyed. Whether this meant learning about world economics, politics. If you like to read and you're wanting to read more, you can actually check out my other video which shows you how to read 1 book a week. Once I started doing this and actually reclaiming back my time and setting up my weeks more intentionally, I found that I had small pockets of time where I could actually do more with it. When I did this, I ultimately found that I had more time to build a business, start a YouTube channel, actually put attention and focus into my personal goals and development. And this was all the while still working a full-time job. Sleep deprivation isn't just an inconvenience. It ultimately changes how you think, live, and grow. You're not failing because you're not strong enough. You're probably just exhausted from the constant calls. And once you understand that, you can start building systems that work with your reality rather than working against it. Comment below if you've been struggling with this too. Comment below if you found other ways and systems that help you reclaim back your time, help you recover faster. I'd love to hear your thoughts and I'd love to hear where you're at. If you'd like this video and you'd like to see more, my latest video is up here and you can always subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video.